Hi friends, Becky here. I'm coming at you with recipe number 5 in the 2019 recipe project. As a recap, this project is just me cooking through my family's favorite recipes from past generations, from the restaurant my family owns, from the bakery my family owns, and just kind of all of our favorite indulgent treats. As a reminder, the concept here is not to make the recipe perfect. We're not looking for perfection here. We're just looking for progress so that you can make small tweaks in your everyday favorite meals so that they better serve your body and help you on your nutrition and fitness journey, whatever that may look like. So today we're making one of my all-time favorites, chicken suizas. These are basically like enchiladas that my mom used to make at home all the time per my request mostly, and I could eat a full tray of these. The fitness coach in me tells me to tell you to keep your portions in check, like maybe 2 instead of 12, but it's much easier said than done. And for the first time so far in this project, I really don't have a lot of tweaks to make. When you're eating a balanced diet, not dieting, eating a balanced diet as a form of your lifestyle, it's more sustainable, you can enjoy more foods, and you're not restricting yourself, which usually leads to some sort of like a binge once you finally cave into your cravings. So what I love about this meal is it's a healthy, balanced meal of carbohydrates, of vegetables, and of protein. And you do have a little bit of healthy fat in there as well with the cheese. So really the only moderation I'm gonna make, and I'll of course walk you through this recipe, is using a little bit less cheese than I normally would because it's just gonna be a little bit healthier for you. So let's get started. Really all you need, and I cheat with this, but it makes your life so much easier. 1 pre-cooked rotisserie chicken from the grocery store. If you wanna make it yourself, more power to you. But this is such a quick, easy weeknight meal when you do it this way that I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. So what I'm gonna do is take the skin off and then shred the chicken and put it in a bowl. We'll use that later. You need 1 onion. You need some form of cheese. So this is a Mexican style blend cheese. What my mom usually would use is like a Monterey Jack with some jalapenos to add some spice to it. I used this for a couple other recipes this week, so it was just easier to save money to buy 1 cheese throughout the week, but I'm gonna add some jalapeno into my mixture to get a little bit of the heat added. You need corn tortillas, which is what I recommend for people who are having a taco night or anything like that anyway. These are better for you than like a flour tortilla would be, and they taste more authentic in my opinion. But I do want to give you this option. Corn tortillas, when you're making something like suizas or enchiladas, tend to get a little bit crumbly, so if you're going to use them, you have to heat them up before you roll anything, which they're going to taste better that way anyway. But they still might crack. If that bothers you, it doesn't bother me, it all tastes the same. If that bothers you, rather than switching to like a flour or even a whole wheat flour tortilla, these I found at Trader Joe's. They're corn and wheat tortillas, so they have a little bit more of that bend and flexibility to them, and you can mess with them a little bit more without being a full flour tortilla. So your call. I'm gonna go ahead and use the corn tortillas for this recipe. Don't ask me why I have a bajillion tortillas in my house. We really, really like cooking with them. Anyway, next you're going to need some salsa verde. Again, typically at home we would make this from scratch, and I can share that recipe with you another day. It is so simple and so amazing. Today I'm cheating again and I'm gonna use store-bought salsa verde. What I like to just recommend if you're using store-bought sauces of any kind is read the ingredients and make sure that it's as natural as it can be. So this has all natural ingredients. I'm happy with that. It doesn't have like a lot of added sugars or anything like that to it, which makes me feel good. You need garlic powder, black pepper, and salt. That's it. Alrighty, we are about ready to go here. So I have a saute pan with a little bit of olive oil in here, just warming up. And then what I'm gonna do is add, once it's hot, these diced onions. So hopefully sorry about the lighting. It's getting dark here and my house doesn't have the best lighting and not a professional, but hopefully you get the point from the recipes themselves. So I diced up the 1 onion. That'll go into the pan once it's hot, and then you can see here that I just deboned and de-skinned the chicken and then chopped up all of the meat, and that'll go in after the onions are a little bit soft. So that's what's coming. I bet you anything my husband comes in here once the onions start cooking, because I'm gonna add garlic, because why not? Okay, so pan is nice and hot. If you don't remember from past videos, I just checked it by spraying some water on it and it started sizzling. That's how you know it's hot enough. So So I'm adding the onions, using my hands today. Hopefully I don't rub my eyes after just touching those onions. And then here comes the magic. I didn't mention this, but basically anytime you have onions in a pan with olive oil, add some garlic. It's just gonna make everything a little bit better. So I'm gonna saute these a little bit. All right, making a little bit of a mess. Once these soften up, I'll go ahead and add a diced jalapeno. Again, that's something that I'm just adding because Matt and I really like spicy food. And my mom used to cook it with jalapenos in the cheese. So she would get Monterey Jack cheese or pepper jack cheese that had jalapenos in it. I don't have that today, so why not add it into the mixture? Obviously, if you don't like heat, skip that part. That smells so good. So I'm gonna let these soften up, cook in the oil a little bit, chop up a jalapeno. I hear footsteps coming. I bet you look good. Oh, right on cue there, Matthew.
Smells good.
Matt's favorite smell ever is onions and garlic sauteing in a pan. Isn't that a weird question to ask? I forget who asked us that the first time we heard it. And when Matt said that, he like knew pretty quickly. I was stunned. I think originally I said vanilla, like real vanilla bean was my favorite, but I don't know, this does smell really good. Anywho, Matt has returned to the living room. I'm adding in the jalapenos. A word of warning. So with every jalapeno, you don't know exactly how spicy it's gonna be. Some are insanely hot, some are surprisingly mild. Cooking them like this, especially if it's a hot one, will kind of knock you in the face a little bit, but I like it. Uh-oh, my dog just got into the car. Okay, so the onions and peppers are softened up, really fragrant. I'm gonna add in the chicken, and then I'm gonna season it. So this was seasoned, obviously when it was made, but what I found with store-bought rotisserie chickens is that they're really flavorful, like in the skin, which happens to be my favorite part, but can be a little bit dry or bland on the inside. So we're gonna, whoops, I'm like really making a mess over here. We're gonna re-season it. So very simple. This is my mom's go-to. I remember she taught me this when I was maybe, I don't know, 10. I used to love cooking in the kitchen with her. And she said her staple seasoning for like really anything, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And oh my God, I'm throwing everything. I have stood by that ever since. Like when in doubt, salt, pepper, garlic powder, for sure. All right, some pepper. Garlic powder, I'll probably use a little less than normal since I did add fresh garlic into the peppers and onions. But anyway, so now everything's in the pan together. I'm just gonna mix it all together, cook it through a little bit and heat it. And then this is just gonna go in a bowl and be set aside. So I'll show you really quick. Okay, cooking away. Nothing super fancy, and it's just gonna go in a bowl. You know what? I'm making tweaks as I go along, and you should feel comfortable doing the same in your kitchen. Play and have fun. But the chicken was looking a little bit dry to me, so I added a little bit of salsa verde into the pan, just to add a little bit of moisture back into this mixture and bring some flavor into the mixture as well. If you don't like salsa verde, you can use a red salsa as well, or an enchilada sauce, whatever you like. I just, again, look at the ingredients, make sure it's as natural as possible so that you're not putting a ton of added junk into your system. So I went ahead and heated up a handful of tortillas. I didn't count them yet because it really depends on how large the rotisserie chicken you got, how large the onion was, to see how much, how many Suizas you're gonna be able to make. Anyway, I heated them up in the microwave. I think they're a little bit better if you heat them up in a pan or on your stove, but I'm kind of in a rush right now, just to being honest. And then, really easy trick to keep them warm while you're assembling is just wrap them up in a dish towel so they'll stay warm. And now I'm going to start the assembly process. All right, so I'm gonna show you, but I've got just a little bit of an assembly line here. So I have the same pan that I sauteed the chicken and onions and everything in with a tiny bit of olive oil on the bottom, just on really low heat. I've got my tortillas in a dish towel. I have the bowl of the chicken mixture, and then I have one small plate. You're gonna build these one at a time and put them back in this pan, seam side down so that they stay together. Here's how I'm gonna measure it out. So for my clients and for the nutrition kind of system that I follow, two corn tortillas is equivalent to 1 serving of carbohydrate. So I'm gonna eat 2 of these Suizas for each meal that I have, and I'm gonna make a side salad as well when I do serve this. So for protein, which is what I'm gonna count this part as, obviously because it's chicken, 1 of these red containers, which is equivalent to about 3/4 of a cup, is equal to 1 serving of protein. So I'm gonna fill this red cup. You can do this however you want, or if you have a different system that works for you, great. And split this in between 2 tortillas so that each serving of 2 equals 1 serving of carbohydrates and 1 serving of protein. Okay, so obviously this is really hard to do one-handed, but this is half of that container, half of that little cup in a tortilla. I'm kind of pushing it to one end. Also, you can see I made a mess on my stove. And then I'm gonna roll from this side over. Obviously you can see I did one, place the seam side down into the pan. Okay, the one thing that I tweaked with this recipe is technically you would put a little bit of cheese in the filling as well as you're rolling these before you put it in the pan. But I'm just gonna focus on putting the cheese on top. I swear to you, these are so delicious. The cheese is just icing on the cake, and you can use a little bit less and still enjoy it. So I didn't put any cheese in the filling, but the original recipe would call for just like a sprinkle of cheese on top of the filling once you put it on the tortilla. You roll that up and then you put it in the pan. But I'll show you how we add it at the end as well. All right, so the pan is pretty much full. One has cracked, you'll see here. I'm literally gonna pour this salsa verde on top, hold please, and then put a little bit of shredded cheese. So obviously this is gonna spill to the bottom of the pan as well. I don't really hold back with salsa, especially when it's all natural ingredients. Really not looking at anything that's bad for you. Any that have a ton of added salt, I would look out for, but you need some sodium for the flavor. So don't worry too much about it, but just, again, look at the ingredients. If you see something that sounds too scientific, or if you don't know what it is, skip it. All right, so I've got the salsa in there. Now I'm just going to take some cheese and sprinkle it on top. If I can open it, that is. Alrighty, here we go. Just like a little handy handful. And that's it. Alright, so we've got everything here in the pan. And then once that cheese is melted, that's how I know these are done. I still have a good amount of filling left over and obviously plenty of tortillas. So I will either save this and make it again another night, or I'll make some more batches tonight and store them in the fridge as something we can reheat really quickly. So recipes like this that make a lot, that have smaller serving sizes, I really love, especially for a busy week, because you can make a ton. They're delicious, even leftover. You can have leftovers for lunch, or on weeknights where you're especially busy, you have something already made. So I already know that this week Wednesday is gonna run really late for me. I'm going out and about for the day. I have some classes that I'm taking. Tuesdays are always late nights for me because I run a lot of my coaching calls. So these are things that I'm already playing in my head so that when I map out my meals, I can think ahead of what I can do to make my life easier each week and avoid ordering takeout. I don't know if you have Uber Eats where you live, but it's here and they deliver everything, like Cold Stone to your door. I like to avoid that as much as I can because I will get Cold Stone for dinner. I have gotten Cold Stone for dinner. We got Cold Stone for dinner recently. So yeah, trying to avoid that. We have a nice, beautiful, large green salad with mixed greens, some cabbage, some sunflower seeds, some carrots, and kind of a salsa verde-esque dressing. Matt, why don't you step over here and be our taste tester?
From where? From?
No, from this plate.
Oh, from this? Alright.
It might be hot.
Really good.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Big fan?
Yeah, big fan.
Cool. Well, there you go.
Thank you.
Enjoy your dinner. I've got a couple more rounds of these to make so that we have plenty of leftovers for the week. But as a reminder, if you are working with me and the nutrition system that I teach to my clients, 2 Suizas is equivalent to 1 yellow, 1 red, and about half a blue, depending on how much cheese you put on. So remember to use your containers if you want help measuring. If you're really comfortable with the system and can eyeball it, that's fine too. I just want to make sure you're not overdoing it. So with this recipe, it wasn't necessarily about making tweaks. It's really just about monitoring your portion size and keeping things balanced. That's the lesson that I want you to take into everything that you cook and everything that you're eating. Not about sacrifice, just about balance. So if you are not working with me and you need some help with your nutrition, I am always one message away, one comment away on here. You can reach me directly at coachbeckymckinney@gmail.com. But until then, enjoy.